Hey y'all, this is Cindy. I'm the Tireless Tangler, and you've arrived at day 95 of the 100 Days of Zentangle Project 2019. I keep slowing down for that part because I am amazed. Thank you all for being with me today. Our tangle is going to be Demi by Geneviève Crabe. She is well known for her artistic creation. She has a website called Amaria's creations.com. So check her out, and this is Demi. We are going to start, as always, with our little 4 dots to make this area a little bit less intimidating. That's always important for me. So now you know where to start. All right, this is going to be a square grid type of a tangle. So we're going to keep the edges fairly straight, or as straight as I can manage. And look, it's not blank anymore. Now we have an area to tangle in. Tangling, for those who don't know, is what we call drawing the patterns that we have in Zentangle. All right, let's get started. In a square grid, so I think I'm going to go ahead and ink these as I did yesterday. I'm finding these bijou tiles. This is a little bijou tile that I'm using from Zentangle. And it is, I want to say it's 2 inches by 2 inches, but I could be wrong. It looks about right for 2 inches. Now, Demi is one that is going to have little squares. So I'm not going to make them, well, I'm not going to make them too big either because it's a lot of inking. Make sure you've got a nice ink pen. The work here is going to be fine enough, I think, that you'll probably want to stick with your 01, but that can go however you want. And instead of making this big, I'm just going to continue that. There. All right, so now we're going to divide this going the other way into, as well as we can, into squares. Now see, that's not going to work because it's a rectangle. Well, hopefully it'll work anyway. We're going to find out. We're going to see how this does in rectangles. Now these squares don't have to be big. What we're doing in them is fairly simple. Okay? All right, now let's divide each one of these diagonally one direction. It can go either way. If you're a lefty and you want to go the other way, go for it. Won't make any difference to the pattern at all. Patterns are adaptable. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting to the point where you see and understand them in a way that you can adapt them. And that takes time sometimes. I know there are a lot of patterns that I have explored that have amazed me later on when I go back to them at the ways that I see someone else use them in a different way, which is always so inspiring. And that's why I encourage you guys to do your own thing. You never know when what you do is going to strike a chord in someone else and give them an idea or an inspiration for their own piece of art. So be creative. Take these and do your own thing. Experiment with them and see if you can make them work for you. All right, this will work. Okay, now there are 2 variations of this, and the first variation that is there is that she goes in and then makes a square right across, well, right down the middle supposedly. So I should stop doing it that way and put it this way. That's actually a much nicer way to draw that. So do one corner and then fill in the other side. Yeah. And I think you'll, whoops. See, there I went out on my own again. and it's not as good. You can make them bigger or smaller, but you want to start and end your corner on the line. Okay? Yes, this is a much better way of drawing in this square. Not that that's anything new. I'm sure plenty of people have thought of that before. Alright, now on the second half of this, I'm going to show you the second variation, which is just to add a circle in. And you want to try to leave it half on one side, half on the other. And it's actually, for me, of course, not a circle, it's more of an orb, which is also, whoops, just fine. All right, now comes the inking. Pick whichever side you would like, and you are going to alternate inking. So what I mean is, if you want to ink this side here, do that, okay? And then the other side, you're gonna do the alternate part. This is why you want to keep your squares a little smaller, unless you have a whole lot of patience. But I will tell you that the nature of this makes it very cool, especially once you shade. And shading will make a difference on this. Now I'm wanting my 08. And you might want to try drawing this with your 08. But you can see how cool this part is, right? Do a couple more. Now, there are a couple of other things you can do to change this up. One is you could use the little hatched lines instead of blacking this in completely. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. Oh, I definitely need my 08 for this. I'm rushing, clearly. Slow down. Now guys, next week when we start our new stuff, I'm going to hope that you will find a minute and bring your tangling supplies, meaning you would bring a pen and a piece of paper and a pencil, and if you have it, a tortillon. If you don't, that's all right. Okay, but so what I meant by the lines is to do it this way, and then over here on this side, handle that this way. It's much less dramatic, but it's also a cool look, okay? And on the circles, it's the exact same thing. You pick a side, ink it, and on the other side, you ink the alternate area. Both of them are pretty cool. Geneviève has some alternate variations on her site, so you can find the link at tanglepatterns.com. And you can see what all she has come up with. Okay? So there is our circle. And here's our square and our options for that. So let's get the pattern out. I am going to find a thicker pin and see how we do. Let's just put this over here with the other optical illusions. At least that's the category they're in. Mine really aren't that elusive. All right, I'm just kidding. Okay, so I believe that this will work on a wonky grid. I'm not sure that's what I want to experiment with, but I might. Let's find out. Let's find out if it'll work. I don't want the grid to be too crazy. This is that pin that has the sideways nib. Don't ask me why I'm using it. So I'm just going to put a slight curve in a portion of this. And I made those fairly narrow. All right. And I'm going to put a slight curve in this one too. Well, it's about time for people to go home, so I better hurry up. We're going to have traffic outside the door. I live on a really busy street. And this is a time of day that's busy. Okay, so the question is, do I want the square or do I want the circle? The circle is less intimidating for me, but I do have a nice square plan. So I think I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to put in my diagonal lines, and I'll get there to what variation, which variation we're going to use. Or if we're going to use the standard pattern or the variation, how about that? I want to welcome Barbara. She left me a beautiful message on my blog. Keep your chin up, sister. It's going to be okay. Tangling can meet your needs in so many ways. And Nancy Pearson from Utah. Don't let me forget her. Or Judy Morgan. Oh, I got names in my head today. All right. And my other friend from India, whose name escapes me. Is it PA? Did I already give him a shout out? Or anyway, I know Aishwara, my CZT friend from India, is sending people our way, so thank you to her. Okay. Let's do squares. I'm feeling the square. Now, if you've got a wonky grid, you're going to want to sort of mold your square to the way that your that your square is. Okay, let me try again. You're sort of going to want to shape your inner square to match the way the lines are moving on your other one. How about that? Is that better? That one, not better. But so these up here that are in the squares that are a little bit curvier, I'm going to try to put a little slight curve in them so that they're not straight up and down in this wonky grid, if that makes sense to anyone. I suppose I could switch these out and do circles on part, but I am just feeling squares right now, so that's what I'm going to do. You guys do what you feel. I am down with whatever. I have so many people say I don't want to do it wrong. There is no wrong in Zentangle. There is only creativity and freedom to do what you wish. The beauty of the patterns is that the pattern creators get joy from seeing you use and vary their patterns. Trust me, I know. So, do that. Again, if you have a pattern you would like us to use on this channel, please send me an email at thetirelesstangler.com or thetirelesstangler@gmail.com. I need to buy my .com email, don't I? And I will see what we can do to work it in. Can't promise it immediately. I am trying to plan and record these in advance so that if anything goes down and I need to miss a day, then I've got that covered. But anyway, I'm going to put the top of that square there and partial square there. No, this one. No, and I think I've got the rest. You guys, whoops. I don't know what this is over here, but it's not a square. There, that's more square-like. Well, that makes me want to ink the bottom part, but I can take care of that in inking on the other side too, so it'll work either way. So I'm going to keep doing what I was doing so that I don't get confused or lost. You guys know that happens. Thank God. You understand and love me anyway. It's wonderful. I don't know about the love, but you appreciate me. Oh, Cindy, stop. Jeez. Okay. I just don't know what to do about that. Move on and don't worry about it. That's what you do. You know, so many of the amazing Zentangle artists do not sweat little mistakes like that. And that is a place in understanding and acceptance that I want to find myself, where I can accept and even utilize things that I see as mistakes. And that is a beautiful thing if you can achieve it. It is not easy, especially if you're full of self-doubts and self-criticisms and anxiety and stress and fear and all of those things that go along with living in this world today. There are so many awful things that happen to people, and I have learned as I've gotten older that no one is exempt from heartache and pain. No one has a free pass. Money does not make your life better. It makes it easier maybe, but it does not make it better. And it's so important to recognize what's truly important in life. And just, if you can come to appreciate your life the way it is, you are so much happier as a person. And that's my 2 cents. One of these days, when I have a free brain, I'm going to read you guys something that I got. I was a sign language interpreter before I stopped working, and I was at an interpreting conference with some really amazing people, and one of the handouts I got was a little poster about attitude. And as soon as I can get that in front of me, I will read it to you guys, because it reflects so much of what I believe, what I've learned, that it says basically that you can do anything by being able to work in a team. You can do anything with the right attitude. You can do anything as long as you believe you can. If you have the right attitude, it is pivotal. I really like that, even like that. So now let's black the other sides and see if we can get out of here without making too big a mess. I do not promise anything. Luckily, this is a place of love and acceptance. And I sort of lost my little square there, but all right. I'm thinking about that song that goes, Slow down, you move too fast. Da 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 da. You gotta make the morning. It's just kicking up. Who is that? Who sings that? The cobblestones. Do-do-do-do. It's an old one. Feeling groovy. That's how you know it's an old one. You're groovy. I guess we know that was from the 70s, don't we? Okay, my age is showing again. You know what? That's okay. I've learned a lot. Made a lot of mistakes. Learned a lot more. Made a lot more mistakes. Life is about how you deal with the mistakes that you make, how you live the life that you've been given, how you perceive your role. And if your goal in life is to make a lot of money and, you know, do that, that's cool. Go for it. One of my goals in life is to make money. But that's not my goal. My goal with the money is not to be rich. My goal is to give my little boy the kind of life that he deserves and give him all of the opportunities and that he can find. And my single mom was able to raise me with a lot of opportunities. We had music lessons and everything we needed to really be successful. I had no idea now how pivotal, or I had no idea then how pivotal some of those things would be for me. I went on and got a degree in music, and it's just, I really believe it's how you perceive your life, and if you can shift your perception to where you're not fighting with the world, but coping. Sometimes that's all you can do, guys. Sometimes all you can do is cope with what you get and do the best you can with it. And trust me, I don't always do the best at coping. I frequently struggle with that. I realized, I guess yesterday or the day before, that the reason I've been so tired is because I was so stressed out for so many years or so many months, and to have that stress lessened was, you know, my body just, when it relaxed, it just went, you know, sort of puddled on the floor, and that was it. Well, I got this a little messy up here, but I think if I use my handy what am I looking? Oh, my little jelly roll to clean up a little tiny bit of that. I think it might be okay. I'm gonna hope that I can find a jelly roll that will do that. I need to find one of my number 10s. The 10 jelly roll is one with a larger nib. The gel ink flows out much nicer than your regular jelly rolls, which are a 0.8 nib size. And the 10s are really nice for good ink flow, but they are a lot of ink, so you have to be careful with them. But I did a video where I'm trying to think. I think it was the Celtic knot with the gold mandala on the front. I used a lot of white gel pen in that underneath the gold to give the gold a place to sit, because the Zentangle tile I was using is very porous, meaning it soaks up a lot of ink really quickly. And so I found that the gold jelly roll was really sinking into the surface, and I wasn't really getting a very good coating of it. So I put white jelly roll down first, and then put the gold on top of it, and that worked excellently well. And that technique is something you can do under colored, like not gel pens, Cindy, like marker. You can put marker on the other side. And I'm trying to think about this square. We're just going to put a little black in there. Pretend that's the way it's supposed to be. It's my story and I'm sticking with it. Well, it's nothing personal, but well, a couple of these optical illusion things I have enjoyed. And this wonky grid thing in the curve here looks really cool. I will grant you that for sure. This is very inking intensive. So I think if you're going to do this, make sure you sit down, have a nice drink of water or a cup of coffee or tea or Coke, whatever you're into, and chill out for a minute, take a deep breath, get your ink pen out, know that you're going to be inking, and have the attitude that you're going to take your time. You're not going to leave any of those annoying little white spots. I know you guys hate those. I know I do. And most of the time I don't even notice them until I get them on my iPad and zoomed up close. Then I notice them all and I'm just cringing. How could I miss that many? But no, it's possible. So you guys see how this is an optical illusion tangle, right? Just without shading, it's pretty cool. I will admit I even like this. It's, of course, not my favorite thing because no curving. Although maybe I should have done the circle one. I don't know. But it's actually pretty zenful to just know where you're inking next and to go around, you know, Skype with a friend. All right. Okay. We're going to ink right here. That doesn't look lost over there. And I think I'm going to extend this up just a tiny bit. All right. Now comes the next question. What do we shade? Okay. So my initial thought, and we're going to test it out right now. My initial thought is to shade one of these sides, like put a diagonal line down from the corner on your light side and just shade one corner of that. Let's blend that out and see how it looks. So that's one, or you could do the top, either way. On some of, I do suggest you look at the examples that Geneviève has on her site. She has them shaded along the grid lines, which also gives you a lot of depth, and the examples she's got are very bold. Yeah. So can't really tell on those. So the light. Let's see what we're gonna do here. I think I'm going to go for the tops of these. I think that's gonna help some of my mess up here. Maybe. Okay, we'll leave that like that. That will emphasize the squared nature of the box, or the square. I'm repeating myself, aren't I? Get used to it. Okay. So next Tuesday, I want to have a very special session with you guys where we do a tile that is strictly meditational. And I'm going to definitely want you to bring your tangling supplies and do the video with your supplies in hand, because what I'm going to do is something that we experienced at seminar which is at Certified Zentangle Teacher Seminar, where they train you. And it's called a voice-guided, I don't know. I call it in my head, I call it a voice-guided meditation because that's what I feel it is, but it's a drawing meditation. And basically it's just following very chilled out, very calming instructions on, you don't have any expectations, you don't know what we're not going to do a tangle. It's a very simple exercise, like, you know, draw a line, put a dot, that kind of thing. And I'll walk you through it, but I would love if you'd bring your tangling supplies or just a pen and piece of paper or whatever, and let's do that, because that to me was one of the most meaningful experiences I had at CZT seminar, was that meditational time that Molly Hollabaugh taught. And it meant so much to me. I was so relaxed and so zenned out. By the time we were done, I was like, dang, she could package this for relaxation, and I guess she has with Zentangle, huh? So this is where I'm gonna leave it. I don't mind the graphite on the top. I am not sure it did much for this pattern, but let's also look at this from the standpoint of, this is actually this size, right? This is actually this size. So this is cool. This is cool. I like it. I like that pattern. So, all right. Let's see what Cindy has planned for the weekend. It's going to be good. I promise you. Come back and see me, and I'll see you tomorrow.